Robin, could you ever be a fan of Conor McGregor after this incident?
Well, I think I can take my personal feelings and separate them from maybe his fans' feelings. First of all, Conor McGregor, I mean, this is a foolish act. It's when keeping it real goes wrong, right? This is a total stunt on his part and should not be applauded by anyone. Obviously, it's way out of bounds. And he loses respect, I think, from the broader sports fan, who he may have gained it when he went into the ring with Floyd Mayweather, because he went in there and acquitted himself well. He didn't embarrass himself in that fight against Mayweather. So the people who were able to say, hey, all the stuff he said leading up to that fight, we can get rid of it. We can put it to the side because that was hyping up the fight. He was a professional in that ring. Since then, his behavior has been extremely erratic, whether it's because he doesn't know what to do with himself, the toll of being a fighter, I don't know exactly. However, when it comes to his fans, I don't think that many of his fans are just going to say we're not fans of him anymore. There's a huge cross-section of WWE fans and UFC fans, and this reminded me of something Stone Cold Steve Austin would do backstage. If anything, I think it could increase the hype around him.
I mean, you mentioned what Stone Cold Steve Austin would do backstage or the possible hype around this, but I mean, Dana White was asked about this. Like, is this a stunt? Is this a publicity stunt? Does this draw more attention to the UFC 223 title card, which has been damaged? I mean, the Nurmagomedov fight has kind of gone down a tier. Now, 3 fighters were injured and fights had to be canceled. The card is much weaker than it was when they started. And he even said, you know what? No, this is not a publicity stunt. This is something that brings shame upon the UFC. This is something that we look at and say, no, this is not who we are. This is not who we want to be. This is an embarrassment. This guy is going rogue and injuring other fighters, frightening other fighters. Rose Namajunas was terrified. She was shook after this incident. And I mean, you have a fighter who has glass shards in his eye, a damaged retina. You have horrible injuries that have been suffered because this guy is trying to retaliate. I mean, retaliate in the octagon.
I'm not defending his behavior whatsoever. It's thuggish behavior from Conor McGregor. It's unacceptable in every way. I'm not saying it's a publicity stunt from the UFC either, because that would damage them long term.
Absolutely.
But it was a stunt by Conor McGregor. He showed up on media day. He knew the cameras were there. That was clearly a stunt.
I don't think he thought this through, though. He's going to end up in jail. He's going to end up paying a lot of money off of this. And he's going to end up sued by a lot of these fighters who now cannot fight, who now cannot get their paychecks, who now cannot go on this big stage because he has hurt them by throwing something through a bus window trying to get at Khabib.
Again, I'm not defending him in any way.
But I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying this is ridiculous.
It would add to the publicity in a few ways. One, a lot more people know UFC 223 is taking place this weekend. And if Conor McGregor were announced as a combatant in a future UFC pay-per-view, more people are going to watch that rather than turn away.
But even Dana White said, he said, you know what, Conor McGregor can do whatever he wants. And people have faulted Dana White. He admitted people have faulted me for letting him do whatever he wants. And had Dana White said, he said, you know what, had Conor come to me and said, you know what, I want to fight Khabib. I want to go at him at the octagon. I want to handle this. Dana White would have said, sure, you know what, at the end of the night, we'll tack on. After Khabib's fight, you could go fight him too. We'll see. Do that in the octagon. Handle your business in the octagon. Make that money and handle your business at the same time. Don't come out here and, throw stuff in a bus window and injure people and frighten people and criminal misconduct.
But Dana White needs to put his money where his mouth is, because he goes out there and says all this stuff, but one thing he hasn't said is that Conor McGregor is banned from the UFC.
Well, now he needs to
He's leaving that possibility open, and that possibility should not be open, because you shouldn't allow somebody to come back and do this and injure his peers, his co-workers. Then he should be kicked out.
Right.
If you're Dana White and you sit there all the time and say, hey, we can replace Ronda Rousey, we can replace people who John Bones Jones, we can replace Conor McGregor. Well, actually, if you're going to let him come back, you're saying that he is bigger than your league and your sport.
Is he bigger than the UFC? Does this affect the state of the sport of the UFC?
No, I don't think it affects this. Well, in a sense, long-term it could, because it could devalue the legitimacy that they have worked so hard to build. Mixed martial arts is a legitimate craft, and some people treat it as barbaric, and this could put it in like that WWE breath at the same time. But in the short term, I actually think it helps, because, again, I think more people are aware of UFC 223, and more people would be hyped for Conor McGregor's next fight.